Shadi Hamid is the Director of Research at the Brookings Center here in Doha. Joins us live on the set. Thank you very much for making it on the show. Now, Shadi, we've just listed the problems that Egypt is facing at the moment. President Morsi, an ineffective leader or just a man that's facing odds from a leftover military dictatorship?
Well, there's no doubt that Morsi has missed a lot of opportunities. He could have done a lot more to reach out to the opposition and really build consensus around key issues that there was some agreement on. But I think part of it was inevitable, that there are fundamental divides in Egyptian society. You have liberals and Islamists who have different views about where Egypt should go, the very nature of society. Plus, you're talking about corrupt, rotten bureaucratic institutions. So anyone who was elected was going to come on top of a bureaucratic system that was going to take a long time to reform. So part of it is Morsi's fault, but we shouldn't lose the broader perspective that there are fundamental structural problems there.
Given what you've just said, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, is Egypt better off under a strong man like Mubarak? Is that what we need in Egypt?
I would say definitely no. And I think this is a debate that you're having now in Egypt, that some people are calling for the military to come back in and effectively depose Morsi. But if we look at the history of military coups that essentially push out a democratically elected leader, whether Algeria in 1991 or Turkey several times, they don't usually work out well. They turn things into a mess. What has to happen, in my view, is that people have to stay within the political process, work through electoral democracy and institutions, because ultimately we don't want to go back to where things were when the military was just in power a year ago, and everyone was really happy when Morsi pushed out the military.
So what you're saying is this is basically growing pains of a new democracy that's happening now. But look, his opponents are calling for fresh elections. Is there a viable alternative?
Well, if Morsi decides to voluntarily resign, that would actually fulfill that demand. But Morsi isn't going to voluntarily resign. So the real question here is, how do you push Morsi out of office? So unfortunately, the only way that I can see it happening is if there's enough violence today and in the coming days that it pushes the military to come back in. And they have said that if there's a full collapse of public order, if Egypt totally collapsed, then they might consider coming back in. So unfortunately, there's an incentive structure there that might actually encourage more violence. So that's what we really have to watch. Will the violence go over a line where it pushes people to think more seriously about the military coming back in?
You know, these demonstrations have also been played out as religious sects versus the secular sect as well. Is this what you think it is as well?
There's no doubt that's part of it. I mean, there are economic factors, there's an imbalance of power, Islamists versus liberals, but I think in a fundamental way there is real disagreement about the role of religion in public life, religious freedom, protection of minority rights, I mean, you name it. There isn't a consensus on these fundamental issues, and that's why the Constitution was such a contentious document and why many Egyptians are unhappy over the final document.
Shadi, thank you very much for your insight.
Thank
Shadi
you for
Hamid,
having me.
the Director of Research, Brookings in Doha Center.